Leave. I gotta take her down to the ball field, so I was going to start this because everybody was yelling at me because I didn't start.
Click on that. Let me see if it comes up. Usually someone else can all right, now that drop down, you got it. You have the right. I didn't tell Rachel before that cascading remind me to be.
I need to ask about it. Say yes. Okay, tell her.
I have to sign in every time you guys have a game. No, they didn't play yeah, but when was that? When was the District 3 one last update? Oh, what last night? I thought it said 8. Okay, but okay, so Upper Dolphin, okay, so that what that company is, Upper Dolphin posted this or the Bakerville has not posted. So when Bakerville, I have them at 7:12, so they should be. Well, that says 7. As long as nobody else, yeah, as long as nobody else. Where's Trinity? It's here. Can't fill Harrisburg. It's actually not that far of a drive. They used to come to our track invitation all the time.
I'm not totally done yet. That's the only thing that stinks. I'm close. I'm gonna try and be insane and finish 21 credits between now and the end of the year.
Hey, you come and make this.
I can do it. I walked the stage yesterday. I graduated, but I didn't actually. Business. Yeah. I have an associate's in information technology, so that was the closest.
It's just. I had to go.
I'm bound and determined to be done.
I worked on an Andriani till 20 after 11. Left there. Came here on my reprocessing. And went back. With that.
You want to buy it?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I don't know if they people drop their
Well, I don't know. Well, the graduation just came because of rain. I can't make it. Then my graduation Saturday. What do you do?
We're going to get started. This is a budget workshop meeting, which means we're not doing public comment until the regular meeting starts at 7. We'll have 30 minutes to make any comments during the budget. Hopefully we can come together on a number tonight for an amendment to a meeting later. If we can, we can put up 2 budgets and make a vote on it at that point. This is for the preliminary only, which means it is adjustable. But they are required to submit a preliminary now. So we're going to go ahead and
Caroline, go ahead.
As usual, I'm just going to go through the things that have changed since the last meeting and where we are as of tonight. Revenues went down slightly, and that is simply because if you change salaries, if you bring any of the salary line items down, then the corresponding reimbursement we get for the Social Security and retirement also has to go down. So, next slide just shows it was about $4,519 less than I anticipate getting in the reimbursement for Social Security and retirement. Strictly because on the expense side, we reduced some salaries. So it's actually a good thing because we made a much larger reduction in expense than we'll see in revenue. I don't know if anybody wants to see any revenue in detail. I think we've seen this a lot. But in case anybody does, it's available. When we get to the expenditures, our current projected deficit was $488,305. Tonight it stands at $454,494. That's a deficit reduction of $33,811 from the last time we met. It puts our projected expenditures at $16,816,104. How did we get that reduction? A combination of increases and decreases. We added $3,500 to professional development, and we added $50,000 to charter school tuition. If you remember, I told you at the last meeting, I just received a reconciliation that shows that I was at least 50 to 60 off. I went to the 50 to be not overinflated. We did decrease the substitute expense line item by $37,940. Made a slight decrease in the workers' compensation expenditure. We decreased legal expense as per some discussion here, $30,000. We decreased travel by about $2,400 and dues and fees by about $5,700. So those are the increases or decreases that are now playing into the new deficit. If anybody wants to see detail on expenditures, they are here, but again, I think we've kind of looked at those historically and in detail over and over. Capital expenditures, again, nothing has changed there. The same things were in are still in, and this is exactly what's in, this is where it's located, and this is what's budgeted for it.
You had an item there of 7,000, it's going to be 4,200.
Correct. Really certain the auditorium sound system is going to come in much higher than 25. I hope it doesn't. So I'd like to leave that there because it's only $3,000 to cover any of these other items that may come in higher than anticipated, especially since they're big ticket items. But I can certainly take that 3 out. Or 181,982 for those items, and we did not add or detract from that. We've already talked about our fund balance analysis. Projected ending fund balance is $2,051,000. That number is important later on in the presentation when we see a recommendation. We talked last week about fund balance should be 9.5%. The unreserved portion should be 9.5%. So later on, you'll see that I used the $2,051,000 in my calculation. This was a millage analysis from before. We've seen something I just received this morning was the county doing. So they put it all together and we just got it. What the 14-15 millage rate is for the school districts in Adams County versus what they've already set as their preliminary rate, percentage increase, and what they get for about 1 mil. So you'll see that ourselves and Upper Adams, in terms of what we receive for a mill, is very, very close.
But again, that's based on property value, and as we know, we got to get harder to get the rivers. And I got all the backup for that. Plus, we're the only one that had 1% increase during that time of the reevaluation. Everyone else had flat.
Well, nobody's questioning them.
No, I
That's just,
I understand.
that's
When
what
somebody-
it is.
It is what it is, but be aware that when they look at it, they say, oh, well, it's not quite apples to apples.
Property sale, was that in there under any of the categories?
No, because that's gonna, I'm not sure if that's gonna hit this year or next year, and it's gonna just fall to fund balance, basically, and then you're gonna use it, because you're probably gonna use fund balance for some portion of your budget,
Well,
I'm assuming, and that 170 is going to be there.
right, but the allocated to
Right.
capital.
And you'll see that further on. But I can't really budget it next year. If we get it this year, then I have a shortfall in next year, so
But that was projected at 170, I
Yeah.
believe.
and then we come to administration's recommendation to balance the budget, which I guess is the crux of this meeting. But we met and came up with 1/2 of the maximum index tax increase, would cost the median taxpayer $23.50. And it would get the district about $91,828. If you recall, the full max, the tax increase that we could go to is only 2.3%. That would get us about 183,000, so half of that. And then the sale proceeds from we would use those for capital expenditures, but since those capital expenditures are included in this budget, we use them to sort of balance it. Ultimately, it's fund balance, but, and then $192,666 from fund balance. And that covers your deficit of $454,494. In addition to that, I would recommend reserving $261,000. Many, but the large ones, the chiller, the elementary roof that we had a large discussion about. And that would maintain your unreserved percentages. If you take the 261,322 and add it to the 192,666, that's the amount you need to bring it down to about 1.5 million, or 9.5% of the projected expenditures. And now it's up to you all.
Okay, question for you, for your substitute. What number are you at now?
I want to say 200,000.
22. You're at 200,000. Yes. What if we take what hours were actually done in 2012 and 13 and multiply that by 95? Because that was right after furlough that we had, and everyone was so concerned about their attendance, and use that as the goal.
I believe I did that math this morning. It's about a 179 and some change. I divided the hours specifically by the rate at the time, multiplied it by 95,
It's not 200.
and it's actually close to
What
180.
I thought, you guys can look at it.
The actually, the 200 was mine, because I actually took this year's attendance, knowing that we're going to have some extended term subs next year because of maternity leaves, and that's the number times 95 and other things that are as for the extended day subs and all that I came up with. So
Keep in mind, every dollar you save in any of these any of the 100 accounts affects your retirement. And it takes it down by 25%.
On the maternity leave, when that goes with the Family Care Act, does that go to a long-term disability?
Depends on how long they take. If they take after a year, it's one thing. If they take,
90 days?
yeah,
What does that pay? Normal paid salary, or does that come on a disability insurance?
I mean, they use up all of their allowable time. And then-
And we had one time that took sabbatical after that. Decided to take sabbatical.
Do we have anyone going on a sabbatical for next year?
nobody has applied today.
Do they have a time frame to have to apply by?
I think by the contract, it's half raised up, but I have to be honest.
I think it's on.
Yeah, I think it's up to.
60. Projected.
16,816,104.
Okay, that's what. What was last year?
Current years is 16,788,057.
Mr. Whitcomb just sent me an email. He's on his way back from New York. And I know from Lee that there's a backup on 30, so he says he's probably might be right.
Another area that you possibly could look at is 240 tuition reimbursement. I'm not saying that it's something you can take a look at. Thank you for doing a change on the workers' comp. I know right now you have nothing to it, but 324, professional educational training.
We did, actually did it.
You did add?
Yes,
We added it to professional development,
correct.
Okay,
which is where her expenditures would fall.
well, that's good.
We actually added 3,500.
You added 35.
And that's based on the professional development that's already scheduled for next year and knowing what it's going to cost in the number of days.
I'll take care of that. Other professional services that takes care of people and so forth. What is that drop down to now?
Sure, the 30.
I removed 30. I think you wanted it, the whole account to be only 140,000, but you weren't taking into account the world language teacher that's making that account a little bit higher than last year. So unless you eliminate that position, that account will be higher.
And then come under instruction.
Why does that come under?
Because for right now, until a decision is made, but for right now, we're paying an outside entity, so it's, for us, it's not a salary.
So we're
So I
paying
don't pay it
company?
any salary.
We're paying up for our school district at the moment, but that they will not be able to provide that service for us. So which is why we're advertising to try and hire a world language teacher of any kind of language, substantial.
If we do indeed hire someone, it will go in our salaries, but for right now, we're paying them for the service.
Okay. And then, the question was in regards to, 340 technical services. Why is that currently so low?
It's low because we don't pay the full, and I think last year the total paid in tax commissions was around 59,000. We don't make the bulk of that payment until June. So that's, we're gonna pay the tax collectors their commission to bring us our money. So I can't cut that one.
No, I didn't say, it's just, that was a question of why it was so low and out of whack, what I saw. 411, I know it's only $1,000, but
We had a 3-year contract for our trash removal. That was at a significant savings over what we were spending prior to that.
right.
We have that out to bid right now, and I do think in 3 years, I would reasonably expect an increase greater than $200 for that. So that's why I put 1,000 in. In addition to that, if we do any work over the summer, we do have sometimes the need to have them come and do an additional pickup, and I like to allow for that when I know it's going to occur. Now, I will have that bid opened on May something or other, 24th or 5th. So if it's significantly different than what I budgeted, obviously I can change it, one way, either up or down.
The other one I looked at just recently, just coming here, was 424 water and sewer. I take it they up the,
I'm basing them on what I see for this year.
that's what I kind of thought of, wasn't too sure. 430, I 116,000, which is the baseline. That's actually higher, well, than. So my concern is, yes, we have project money in there, but what of this? Because I haven't seen any backup for this.
And Ms. Kugler does have the backups. For 430, the bulk of that account is our contracts, our train contract, our Aqua contract, our fire extinguisher contract, our, I don't know how even, the mother load of Siemens contract. Most of that is our contractual obligations. They didn't increase that much year over year. As far as any internal repairs, we budget 5,000 at each school. That's it, and that never changes. And typically we overspend it because invariably something happens at a school that does require more than 5,000, but that did not change.
And the other one is 438, technical maintenance and repair.
And if you recall, if you look at your capital,
I saw the capital.
you've got cable runs at the elementary school. We have a small cable run, I believe, for cafeteria.
Yeah, that's all part of that 15,700. But what about the other 26,000?
And 438. 438. $438 is strictly our copier maintenance. We have some cable runs. That's about $3,000 outside of the large one at the. LCD repairs, we have about 3,400. You'll see a flip-flop all some years between when we purchase new ones or we try and repair old ones. The elementary cable run, as I said, and that is all that's in there.
Okay. And the next one comes up to is 513 and 560. Those two are our carrier, the bus issue. And I'm wondering, with the number of students that we have lost this year, plus another 27 that we're going to lose, well, not lose, they graduate out. We should possibly look at another reduction in buses because the number will be 57.
And I'm gonna speak to that before we go any further, okay? Last year and the year before, I cut transportation. I requested the board about $60,000 out the past 2 years. Guess what? Both years, not only did I put the 60 back in, but I put more at the board's direction. When we tried to cut the run to save the 40, we had to end up adding a special van for South Mountain kids. We had to add a VOTEC van. So I would caution the board, let us see where the dust settles with a new contractor, with the new kids. If there's a place to save there and I don't have to write a check, believe me, I won't write the check. But I can't really cut any more there because it never happens. And if I do cut it and that run is slightly over an hour, I'm just gonna add it right back in. And I can't guarantee that my runs will stay under an hour, because some of them are already at 50 and 55 minutes because of reductions we've already made. And right now, that number is where those contracts and those buses and the years of those buses shake out. And my concern is the contractor that we'll be using actually has newer buses, which means it will cost us a bit more.
But you did say that the runs would be increased by the local parking. of the
I am
buses.
hoping, but that's not a done deal yet. We have to get through DEP and we're looking at wetland issues right now. That's not a done deal. So yes, that may happen, and I'm gonna work like heck. We have drawings, we've got, everybody's on the ball with that,
I guess
but
when that was approached to us, I misunderstood. I thought that was if that contractor were to receive that contract, that was going to happen. I guess did I misunderstand? I mean, what?
no, but you have two things in play yet. You don't vote on that till tonight, so
Right.
I can't actively have him start spending
No,
money
I
on it.
understand that, but I thought he had made the statement that
Yes,
it would be reduced by this.
no, he didn't.
If he was able to park, by parking here.
No, he wouldn't have made that statement. I made the statement that if he is able to do that, and we can get the runs where we have a child on that bus right away, I'm hoping we can save money.
Okay, well, was I the only one that misunderstood that the runs were going to start from here, or?
Well, yeah, they're starting some years.
I was under the impression that he was going, he had offered to even pay for the project.
Right.
The park, and he, one question I have is, did we,
We,
company,
We did, they did. Information. Wow. I, I,